a lot of self-improvement doesn't actually improve anything. It just makes you feel like you're doing something. It feels productive, but in reality, it doesn't actually change anything. Self-improvement is masturbation. You might remember that line from Fight Club, and I still think it holds true even after almost 3 decades. Tyler Durden says with this line that obsessing over yourself can become shallow and narcissistic. Society sells self-improvement as a product rather than real change, and that real growth often comes from discomfort, risk, and the letting go of control. The line is intentionally extreme, and it sounds crude just to shock us. It says self-improvement is something self-indulgent and circular, something that feels productive but doesn't actually change anything. Whether you like the movie or not, in real life, self-improvement doesn't have to be useless, like Durden says. If you approach it in the right way, focusing on your health, your skills, your mindset, it can be genuinely valuable and important for us all. You just have to be purposeful and grounded, or else it'll all be surface level and just masturbatory. At its core, the line is trying to provoke us, to ask why we want to improve ourselves in the first place, and whether that improvement is even real. The actual target is cosmetic self-improvement, and by that I mean buying things to become better, obsessing over optimization, and trying to become a perfect version of ourselves. Because in reality, nobody is or can be perfect. This kind of fake improvement can become a cycle. It's just mental busywork without the actual improvement. And a lot of self-improvement is self-centered. I guess it's kind of in the name. But when you ask yourself questions like, am I successful enough, or am I better than others, it shows that even if you are improving, you're still stuck in the same mindset as before. It might just be a little bit more polished. A lot of self-improvement turns into performance. You're trying to look better, seem better, be seen as improving instead of actually changing anything. And I think real improvement has to be personal, not something you do for other people, not something you can show off, just something that genuinely makes your life better. No one sees you fixing your habits. No one sees you doing the boring stuff. Yet that is where real improvement lies. I sometimes find myself in a loop of watching productivity videos on wasting time, building habits, getting my life back together. And while watching them, I do feel like I'm actually doing something, but without doing anything actually difficult. But then I realize I'm just sat in the same spot I was an hour ago, avoiding the same things. I feel productive when I'm doing it, like I'm actually moving forward, learning how to be better. But in reality, I'm just consuming the idea of change without actually working on it. And this is something I've realized about myself, that sometimes I'm not really trying to improve. I'm just trying to feel like I am. I'm keeping myself busy and distracted from the actual problems in my life I'm trying to solve. It's something I've been actively working on recently, but by just not letting myself fall into that productivity trap and actually doing what I need to do at that moment, whether it's clean or read or sleep or go to work. I'm not perfect at it, but I'm actively trying to catch myself before I fall. I tell myself I'm improving, and in a lot of ways I am. I truly believe I am, but I've also noticed something uncomfortable, that sometimes I do compare myself to others. I can be shallow at times, and I'd like to show off the fact I am improving, but in reality that's not why I started. And when I remember why I started, that I want to be a better person for myself, I can push myself back onto the right path, when I find myself deviating. And you might fall into this way of life Durden actively pushes against too. And, once we recognize that, that's the first step onto a better path. Durden suggests that real change is uncomfortable. And although I agree with this, he takes it to the most extreme conclusion that we should stop trying to improve ourselves and just destroy the versions of ourselves that is fake. And if you've seen the movie, it perfectly portrays this. The movie is a fantasy. I ultimately disagree with this extreme conclusion Durden reaches, but within the quote, there are healthier and more meaningful conclusions we can get out of it. That bad self-improvement is chasing perfection, avoiding discomfort, and polishing your image. And that actual self-improvement is building real skills, facing hard truths about ourselves, and changing our behavior in meaningful ways. Self-improvement can be masturbation, self-indulgent and shallow, but it doesn't have to be. If your life doesn't actually change, that's not self-improvement. It just feels like it. Real self-improvement isn't how much we think about change. It's what you actually change. And if nothing changes, then nothing changes. Thank you for watching. Love you lots, and bye-bye.